Kogla just stonewalling this rhinoceros here. Mystical dispute. All right, that's okay. We have many more threats where that came from. Our opponent's like Cavern on turtle. What the heck? Oh, ew. Oh no, what is that? What is that? I regret everything. I'd rather not have casted the Explorer on turn 2. Goodness, that's just, that's abhorrent. Hello and welcome, guys. We are playing a deck of apes, dinosaurs, and turtles today. We are playing Kogla and Yidaro from the new set, a 6-mana 7/7 that can either haste and trample the turn it comes down or fight something, but it also has a 4-mana discard ability to destroy an artifact or enchantment, draw a card, and then shuffle itself from your library into your graveyard. Not necessarily in that order. And of course, we are playing one of these in the main because it is, in fact, a 7/7 threat other than just being a way to kill artifacts and enchantments like Blood Moon. But we're also playing a couple copies in the sideboard just because I want to see the card and play the card and bring in the card. So Kogla is just one of the new March of the Machine cards that we're playing today. The other one is Vorinclex, 5 mana for a 6/6 trample reach, which is already fantastic stats. When it comes into the battlefield, search for 2 forest cards, reveal them, and put them into your hand. And then for 6 mana, you can flip it into the backside, which is basically a Turn Timber Symbiosis effect, but for 2 creatures, as well as some other effects. Basically, if we ever get to pay 8 and flip it, we should be winning the game. And then eventually it'll flip back into Vorinclex. However, the cool thing about this card is that it is a 5 mana 6/6 trample reacher, so if only it was a 6/7 and survived in Holy Heat, then it would be perfect for my purposes, but mainly we're playing this as a sideboard way to bring in something against the Blood Moon or otherwise hateful deck, where getting to 6 mana is a little difficult. Maybe we don't have access to amulets, or our opponent's playing Blood Moon, and we have Vorinclex to just search up a bunch of basic forests, at least if it resolves before Blood Moon, and if they Blood Moon us before we get to Vorinclex, of course, we're going to be relying on Kogla and Yidaro to deal with the Blood Moon effect. So we've got some exciting new cards from the new set, and I would like to be the first to give them a shot. So if there are any cards that you think are missing from March of the Machines that you would like to see me play, then let me know in the comments. I will say that there were some other cards I was interested in maybe playing, but not for the purposes of today's video. And as well, of course, Mistaken would be proud. We're playing 4 copies of Gruul Turf and only 1 Selesnya Sanctuary. Gosh, you hate to see it. Anyways, I will see you guys in match 1. And take this as your friendly neighborhood reminder to hit the subscribe button. I should mention that today's video is a YouTube only. We're not live streaming this as usually would be if you would see the chat down below. So this one's something special for you YouTube folks. And we have Kogla showing his ugly face right in the middle of our hand here. We get to play Turn 1 Saga. We'd love if any of these lands was an untapped green source, then it might be reasonable. It also depends on what our opponent's playing. Maybe this Kogla and Yidaro does something, but we could have Turn 1 Saga, Turn 2 Stronghold, 4 or 5 mana off Grazer. We could potentially play a Turn 3 Kogla here, depending on what we draw. Whatever, I'm game. I'll try it. Hopefully we'll top deck the untapped green source. Then we can even make some Saga constructs along the way. Turn 1 Overgrown Tomb. Noble Hierarch. That's not what I was expecting. Maybe it could still be Yawgmoth, which is what I was expecting. But alright, well, I guess we're leading on Saga here in passing. I guess arguably we could play Stronghold into Saga next turn, but I feel like getting our Saga into play sooner rather than later will be better. Tenacious Underdog. 2 mana 3/2. You can cast it from your graveyard for a blitz ability of 4 mana and 2 life. Okay. Am I supposed to know what's going on? Because I don't. Let's just play West out here, I suppose. No ramp spells yet, just redundant lands. We're about to be taking a hit of 5 damage from this Tenacious Underdog. thanks to the Exalted on their Hierarch. Interesting. And Snowland. Okay. I don't know what our opponent is doing over here, but Shardless Agent. Excuse me? Priest of Forgotten God. Okay. A 1/2 that you can tap, sacrifice 2 other creatures to make black. And then I guess they lose 2 life and no, they can make us lose 2 life and sack a creature. That has a lot of text. Okay, well, we have a Titan. Hand's not really panning out here exactly. We can get our Amulet, play our Slayers. We could just play Grazer out here to chump immediately. If we go Gruul Turf, Grazer, and West, then we need to draw another ramp source to have Titan on turn 4 here. If we don't play out Grazer, then we'll still only have 5 mana next turn, so we're going to be in the same situation. So we probably just want to go ahead and play out the Grazer, I would say. Oh, you know what I should have done? Probably should have played Simic so we could transmute the West that we drew. Oops. All right, well, here's Grazer. Yeah, that was kind of a punt, unfortunately, because then we could have packed it for another Grazer and had Titans upcoming turn. Oops. A little hasty. Well, given that we haven't done that, I guess we're putting Slayers in play because it's the highest upside, and just like putting West into play and then playing Growth Chamber the turn after isn't really helping us. So do this. I was too tempted by the double red on Kogla. Gotta play this card. We could have it kill something that our opponent controls. Maybe this Priest of Forgotten Gods, for example. If they want to sacrifice 2 creatures to get rid of our Grazer, I'm pretty fine with that. In fact, maybe we don't block here specifically so they can't make us sack our Titan. I think we'll just take 5. Not the biggest deal. And then next turn we can either... Hopefully we'll draw a ramp spell to Kogla away the Priest or something. Oh, they're activating the Priest. Value for us, because getting their 2 creatures out of play is pretty good here. Although I guess they get to draw a card anyways. But Boiling Oracle, Masked Vandal. What is going on? Okay, so this lets them exile an artifact or enchantment, which is really good here. What is happening? Okay. Spellskite. Okay. I guess we can kill their Spellskite with Kogla and draw a card. Well, we needed that amulet pretty bad. We're going to play out the castle here, so if we top deck a forest, we can slam Titan, but slamming Titan into their priest is not particularly enticing idea. We might just be losing here. Luckily, I think this is probably a good matchup for us. So if we draw a amulet, we can haste our Titan. Yeah, I don't know. Using priest again. Just draw a card pretty much here. Another priest. Okay. These priests are kind of annoying, not gonna lie. Although it looks like engineer explosives on 2 is gonna be pretty good against them. We drew the amulet. Does that do anything though? Do we play amulet off the stronghold, play bounce land, activate Garen Break, pick up a land, attack, get kind of stops there, doesn't it? Oh, we can't even haste thanks to the Spellskite. We could play amulet, bounce land, activate Garen Break, Titan, get double growth chamber, transmute the Tolaria West from hand, pack for like Grazer and play it, and then they just attack with everything that has a power, and we die. I don't think we have any outs here, despite the fact that we drew the best possible card. Yeah, I think that we're just dead here. I guess we could Kogla away the Spellskite. Alright, we'll just go on to the next one. I wonder if Kogla's good here, just being able to come into play and kill a creature. They could have Necromentia, which is something to think about. Vorinclex doesn't seem too bad. I mean, unless they're just going to make us sacrifice it with Priest, but... Oh, I'm still confused as to what our opponent's doing, but whatever it is, Engineered Explosives is definitely good against it. Endurance is kind of interesting. The fact that you play Priest makes this a really difficult match to sideboard in. They have Masked Vandal as well, so maybe we're supposed to be trimming on Sagas, because they are just a target for Vandals. And we could just go mono creatures, just play Vorinclexes, Koglas, Endurance, and just like put everything in the way of their creatures, and they can't priest us all the time because they have to go down an extra creature every time they do that, and they will not always draw a replacement creature. Kind of feel like going on the creature offensive isn't a bad idea here, but maybe it's not a good idea either. We'll see. Maybe a second Kogla. I feel like bringing in all 3 probably doesn't make sense because it's legendary. I mean, it is also a 7/7 that fights, though. Probably just 2 Koglas is fine. And then we can trim 1 Cavern and maybe like 8. Probably trimming Saga is not worth it. I mean, it's bad against Vandal, but yeah, we'll trim on Sagas, I suppose, and keep the Cavern. Forgive me if I don't know how to sideboard against my opponent's very popular, whatever that deck is. I don't even know what they're doing. So, from the map, trim 1 Summoners Pack since we're going creature heavy and we'll have plenty of threat. Hit submit. I guess they could have Force of Vigor, which is also a reason to trim Saga, so be on the play. Well, this is a turn 3 Dryad, turn 4 Titan hand. Not if our Dryad gets killed by Masked Vandal. I mean, it's not an objectively bad hand, but I don't know what our opponent is doing. This hand might be too slow. They might have discard spells. I don't know. I feel like we can afford a mulligan for something slightly faster on the play. Well, this definitely qualifies as slightly faster. We'll keep this and bottom the Endurance. Play Tolaria West. If we draw a Grazer, we get to turn 2 them here, assuming they don't have Force or a discard spell. They'll probably just play a turn 1 Noble or something, or nothing. Sure, they can also play a turn 1 nothing. We'll play a Amulet. A little behind schedule here, but that's all right. And we can actually go for the kill here with the double pack because we can pack for Grazer to get the chain started. Interesting. So we play Amulet, pack for Grazer. That's 4. Dryad puts us to 5. Actually, so we don't quite have it here anyways. I'm just gonna play the Amulet and pass it back and let's hope that our opponent doesn't have Force. I like how we boarded into the creature plan and we're still just doing the crazy Amulet things anyways. Who needs creatures anyways? Opponent is doing the fetches. Zagoth Triumph. I said, why were they playing the Snowland? Are they playing like Icefang Quaddle too? They get rid of an amulet, which is perfectly fine. Bounce Land is also great here, so we'll play out Bounce Land, Dryad. See if we leave a blue floating. I could have transmuted here if I wanted to by playing Sanctuary first, but I don't know that we would have actively wanted to do that anyways. I think we actually just play Dryad Tolaria West here, actually, and that way we have guaranteed Titan mana unless we get forced. This way our Dryad doesn't have to stay in play if they have like a Masked Vandal and a creature that'll go to the graveyard or something. Ignoble. Okay. Priest of Forgotten. Right. Our opponent's probably dead. Okay. We'll play Sanctuary, pick up a land, play the land, and haste off of Valakut Slayers, leaving a white floating from the Sanctuary. I guess we're supposed to pick up the... It doesn't really matter because we're just going to play the land out anyway, so we'll just do this. Pack. Get our Titan. That's a lot of possible pack targets. I'm not used to seeing a list that thick. All right, and opponent is just dead. Should we point Valakut triggers at the creatures just for good measure? I mean, I feel like if they're killing our Dryad, then the creatures don't really matter as much. I'll point one at their creature and one at their face, just because the priest is the creature I care the most about. But honestly, I think they're probably just dead here. It even feels like they're F6. Oh, there's only one Valakut. Hold on. Okay, we'll haste here and go to game 3. I'm just getting Valakut Basuva here. No reason to make it more complicated than it needs to be. All right, and we win game 2 or game 3. I can count, I swear. Our sideboarding. I mean, this is probably far too many creatures for a matchup like this, but I kind of don't hate it. I don't know, maybe it's better to just be doing the combo things. I don't know if they have something like Force. I have Boseiju and not a whole lot else. Maybe Koglas are fine to play against discard, but we'd rather have Explorers and like Saga's maybe not that bad. They have to have a very good start for the Vandals to matter, so we'll do this. Just one Kogla's fine. And Duty Explosives is probably enough to interact. So we'll just go back to a normal game plan. Could get punished for this, but normal game plan seemed to work pretty well last time. So got the Snap Keep with a 0 land hand, even though there's a Gruul Turf sitting right there. Yep, Snap Mulligan. And we get the Saga Amulet and no threat hand with Stronghold that we'll just put on the bottom. And we're going to get completely owned by Force if they have it. Suppose we don't have to play Amulet out on turn 1 if we play the Saga. I'm going to keep this, get that Stronghold out of here. Last thing I want to see in my opening hand is a Slayer Stronghold. Blooming Marsh Path. Okay. Nature's Claim, perhaps. I mean, I'm still going to lead on Saga. I think I'm going to save the Amulet here in case they do have Force, but, you know, no Nature's Claim. Okay, so we've dodged step 1 of the process here. Oh, they punishment away our Saga. Okay, we'll play out Garenbrig here and pass. Way if we draw a Grazer, we can just play Grazer next turn and not expose our Amulet. Titan was a good top deck, by the way. I guess how they could have Unmoored Ego, in which case we're going to be very happy that we have Kogla. Grist is a card. Another Amulet, huh? All right, well, I guess we're doing this. And it's probably Valakut here. I'm just going to slam them both out and hope our opponent doesn't have Force at this point. And we're going to be able to double Titan and attack with both next turn if our opponent has nothing. So based on what I saw in game 1, I'm not sure that they would have a lot here. But Tyvar, we didn't see any of these Planeswalkers before. I wonder if our opponent's got some sort of combo going on. Or if they're just like a graveyard value deck. Noble Hierarch. You got it. Tax 2, very important. Gotta get that clock on. Holding up 2 mana. I suppose they could have counterspells in their deck, like a Mana Leak or something. Remand. I don't know that I expect the 3 mana Planeswalker tap out for creatures deck to play counterspells, but they could. Maybe they have a Boseiju here, and they're like, should I hit an Amulet? They could always wait for us to play Bounce Land, and with the triggers on the stack, hit the Bounce Land with the Boseiju, which would be pretty devastating, but they do have the Boseiju. They elect to go for the Amulet now, which probably worse than waiting, but it's alright. Waiting and hitting Bounce Land. I mean, it stops us from getting a Titan into play the turn that we're doing that. I guess here we just kill Grist, and we'll leave Simic Growth Chamber in play. Thank you, Castle Garenbrig, for doing Castle Garenbrig things. Always love to see that. And we'll pick up the Forest, I guess. Oh, we might even be able to do some funky stuff with Dryad. Probably not without the second Amulet, but it's something worth considering. We're definitely going for the combat step here, so get that Slayer Stronghold that we bottomed like a million years ago. Hey, and pick up, I guess, just Slayers. I'll just pick up Slayers, swing at Grist, because we don't want to lose our Titan to something crazy. Hit yes to this. We could get TOS Bounce Land and pick up, like, Castle and be able to transmute this turn. We could also just get Valakut and something else, and then our opponent has to deal with a Titan on board and a Dryad, but Dryad's not too terribly difficult to deal with. I feel like just setting up the transmute here is a good idea. We could also do TOS Valakut and plan to just transmute next turn. That way we don't get exposed to discard spells. We could also have the flexibility to transmute for explosives that way as well. We have a bounce in hand, so we're not super worried about that. I'll just go TOS Valakut. Gives us the most flexibility. All right, opponent, we have played a 6/6 Trampler. Can you beat that? Even if they had like second Grist here, I think we'd still be in fantastic shape because we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We don't have the double green to activate. I guess we'd have to play Gruul Turf as land for turn and not haste, but that's probably fine. Priest of Forgotten Gods. Little late on that ability there. Second priest. Imagine if they had Tyvar in play. They could use this immediately. We'd be toast. Well, we can transmute for Dryad here and just play it before attacking. They only have 1 mana, so they would have to have like exactly Dismember and nothing else. So, I mean, honestly, it's free enough that I'm just going to go for it. Leave a green floating so we can play our Dryad, I suppose. Saving our land drop until post Dryad, of course. There's Dryad, and our opponent scoops it up. All right, well, that means that we are now 1-0 against, I don't know what this was. I guess, like, Bulgari, not, what am I saying? 4-color graveyard shenanigans. If you know what this deck is, then let me know in the comments below, because I'm not familiar with this one. So, but yeah, let's jump in here for match 2. Alrighty, on the play here against Comic Book Day, we have a Amulet and a Grazer, which I'm already liking what I'm seeing. Lack of a bounce land, lack of a threat, but I mean, this is a clear keep in my opinion, so we will keep. We can Grazer and Saga on 1, but then we won't be able to make Construct. And we already have 1 Amulet I guess we could be getting Expedition Map with our Saga to get Bounce Land, in which case maybe playing Saga on 1 is correct anyways. But like otherwise we'd have to top deck exactly Bounce Land plus Titan, or like Amulet plus Titan, and still have the mana to like map for a bounce land and still be able to go off, which is not impossible. We could also just hold the Grazer. I feel like grazering out like a castle or a Valakut here and then playing Saga turn 2 to play our Dryad is probably the right move. So that's what I'm going to go for. Play Cavern on Beast, which sadly does not tap for any relevant colors for Kogla and Yidaro, and put in Valakut since our... No, I had to put in Garenbrig. That way we could play Dryad. I didn't think about that. Not my cleanest league when it leads on Forest and Grazer. Okay, so we're playing Mirror, huh? They put in their Saga, which probably makes a lot of sense. Green source? Perfect. Never did not have it. Had it the whole time. What are you talking about? All right, here's Saga and then Amulet of our own. And if we top deck a Titan, we just get to play Titan this upcoming turn thanks to the Dryad ability fixing our colors for Garenbrig. And also thanks to Garenbrig being a fantastic stellar land that nobody's playing for some reason anymore. And here it is. Relevant in the last match as well. So, plus... we could potentially Kogla and Yidaro, our opponent's Amulet, if they go to, like, copy it with Mycosynth or something. If we top deck that, it works. Bounce land, huh? Right, well, I guess we're not doing that. Oh, we can get Valakut triggers here, though, so let's get some Valakut triggers for absolute value. Kill that Arboreal Grazer gone. Our opponent knows what's up with our hand, by the way, and, we're just going to go ahead and make the token now because it doesn't actually matter. Our opponent's not going to have removal, so we'll just do this and swing. Well, if we get to untap, I think we'll be one short maybe of getting to a Titan if we have to... Oh wait, no, we have to crack map as well. So we're not going to be able to Titan this upcoming turn. We might have to map for second Valakut here and play second Valakut bounce land, like assuming we're not just dead. Looks like we might be just dead. We will see very shortly here if Kogla and Yidaro is fast enough for the Amulet Mirror. I don't know. Our opponent explores into the mana to cast a big threat, and that'll probably be game. I'm going to let them go through it because there's a possibility they have the Slayers or Sunhome in hand, as well as the fact that if we're not dead and we get to untap, we get to kill their Titan, which they may not play around, so they're playing a big thing. There's Titan. And I think with the Dryad here, it's pretty easy to just scoop it up. I only have 2, so they can't get a second Titan into play without having like a Grazer or Explorer in hand or something. They can like haste off of Valakut Slayers here and then attack and get 2 more lands. Then we probably still lose the Dryad anyways, but it's not a guarantee because they don't actually have lethal here based on the lands they have in play. Although if they get double bounce land here, that indicates they probably have like a Solari West that they can transmute for second Titan, so probably super dead here. They've returned both bounce lands. Are we going for Colossus? Are we going for Colossus here? Oh my gosh, we are. Well, I'm not going to let our opponent have the fun, mainly because I'd like to move on to the next game. So, cool beans. All right, so in this matchup, we get Forces, we get extra Boseiju, we get extra Kogla and Yidaros, and what do we cut? What do we not like? I don't mind trimming on Saga in this matchup. I think that this makes sense to me, and that lets us cut the map as well, which is not a fantastic card. We can trim on 1 Cavern, maybe 2 Caverns. A little low on lands, though, so probably 2 Caverns. Although we do have Boseiju here, so I think 31's fine. And then trim... we have a lot of interaction here. I guess we trim and explore. I don't know if Kogla is actually good in this matchup, but this is the matchup to find out, so. And we just have a double Amulet hand with double Summoner's Pact. I mean, this is quintessentially great, so we'll keep it. Bounce land off the top lets us win on turn 2, I'm pretty sure. So we'll go Forest Amulet, assuming, of course, that our opponent doesn't have Force of Vigor, which may not be a good assumption. Castle Garenbrig helping us play through hate just a little bit. Vesuva entering tapped as an upside here. Interesting. Well, we'll play Garenbrig. I feel like I don't want to play a second Amulet in case our opponent does have a Force here, because they just played Forest and passed. Oh, and now we can Vesuva their bounce land. Value, absolute value right there. And this will guarantee that we get our Titan even if they force, because we saved the Amulet. Unless they go ahead and kill our Amulet with Force in our upkeep or something, but this is great news for us. And if they don't have Force, then we just kill them. Or not. I guess we could also just draw Sunhome, the absolute worst possible top deck, or one of them at least. Maybe not the worst, but a very bad one. If our opponent does using that Force that we played around expertly. Castle Garenbrig being OP here. Love this. And we'll go ahead and pick up, I guess we could pick up Castle so they can't Vesuva it. I don't hate that. We'll pact and get a Titan and play Titan and go from there. Make sure I click Primeval Titan. Put that bad boy into play. Next turn we can just pact for Dryad and probably kill them, assuming they don't have another Force or like a Dismember or something strange. We need to get probably 2 green sources here in case they Boseiju our Vesuva to Gruul Turf, or at least 1 green source. Actually, we don't have to get any green sources because if they do Boseiju our bounce land, we'll be able to search for a basic forest. So probably setting up a Valakut preemptively is not a bad idea. And maybe like a Boros Garrison. Nah, that doesn't really make sense. Saga is probably the worst thing we could get here, because then we could lose to Force plus Boseiju. So probably don't want to get Saga. Maybe it's just Telarios, or it could also just be double Valakut. I really don't hate double Valakut. We'll go double Valakut, pass back. This way, we'll have something to do even if our Titan dies. If they have Dryad here, they do. Oh, they might have a Titan with Dryad coming up here. We get to hold up Boseiju though, so I don't think we're super worried. We can just Boseiju like a bounce land perhaps. So we can get bounce land Boseiju and then just pass here, and then I don't think there's anything our opponent can do to win. They might be able to force our Dryad if we go for that to not lose, but maybe that's okay. We'll go to combat and attack first. Get Simic Boseiju. Actually, I guess since we might just be packing for another Titan this upcoming turn, it's probably better to get Boros Boseiju, so that way we can haste. Maybe just play Castle here, play Castle and pass with Boseiju up. We could also pack for Kogla and have it fight our opponent's Primeval Titan and kill it. That would be so sick if we just get to Boseiju our opponent's Dryad here, and then, you know, Kogla to... Actually, we can pack for Kogla and kill their Dryad if we want to. Like, Boseiju bounce land, pack for Kogla, kill Dryad. We'll just take the 2 damage here, I think. I mean, are we going to Boseiju this anyways? I think we should. They'll have 7, 8 mana this upcoming turn. 9 if they have Amulet plus bounce land in hand. I think we're going for the Boseiju here, to be honest. They don't have another land drop, so we're not giving them the possibility of casting a Titan here. So might as well just not take the 2. They already have Force held up anyways, looks like. So getting Boros Garrison to play around that probably is a good look here. They can play Dryad, untap land, and then cast a Titan. Even then, they only get 2 Valkuts for 12 damage, which is not enough. So I think we're just in the clear to pack for a Titan here and attack by getting bounce land plus Slayers, thanks to the Boros Garrison that we set up. So I think I'm just going to go for another Titan, to be honest. No Kogla this time. Sad times. Yep. And now we'll get Simic plus Slayers, play Slayers for turn and have haste, so looking decent here. And we win the game. Cool, cool, cool. Okay. Kogla actually being a relevant pack target there as well. Just being able to pack for a way to kill our opponent's Titans or Dryads is kind of cool, actually. And also put a 7/7 on the board for whatever that's worth. I don't hate Explore here. I also don't hate Saga, but it does make us a little weaker to them having Force, which obviously they did in that game. We were able to play around it, so that's not too bad. Maybe we're supposed to be trimming a pack. I don't know, I'm just going to resubmit. 2 Sagas is probably enough. We got the Kogla sitting here ready to go. Interesting. I mean, we're probably supposed to keep this and just lead on Saga and then Sandbag Amulet like we have been doing. I'm gonna keep it. Our opponent moles to 6. This hand might be loose, but we get to play a turn 3 Kogla cycle to kill a relevant thing and draw a card and hope it's good enough, and that's assuming that we don't draw Ramp Spell in the Titan or something like that. They have Mycosynth Gardens, which is very sad. Okay, yeah, we might be toast here. Well, we'll play Saga and pass. It's what we got. Mono bounce lands over here. The sad thing that Kogla can't hit lands. Artifact or enchantment. I guess we could hit a Dryad or something, but it just has land pass. See if they want to copy Amulet and play around Force here. Dude, I don't need more bounce lands, deck. Thank you, I appreciate it, but I don't need this. Still not playing out the Amulet to play around our opponent having Force. They don't copy because they're worried about Force, which makes sense. We haven't done anything, so it makes it very much look like we have a Force. Why else would you keep a hand that does nothing, right? Probably worth main phasing the Kogla to destroy their Amulet anyways, if we get to untap with this Saga. Opponent's tanking very hard on how to play around Force. I suppose if we draw a ramp spell, we could just hard cast Kogla and kill our opponent's something, West, right? Not yielding here to make it look like we are waiting on a Force. Opponent just doing nothing here. Maybe our opponent has a Force too, I don't know. We will kill this Amulet. Another Kogla, huh? Not exactly what the doctor ordered, but that's okay. Get our Amulet, play Gruul Turf out here, and go for the Kogla on their Amulet. They'll be able to copy, but that's fine. See if they use their Force here on their 4-card hand to go down to 2 cards. I feel like if they force a single Amulet here, Boseiju, okay. Oh, this means they can't copy their Amulet. They just got absolutely wrecked. Oh, man. This is going to be so good for us. Okay, well, Kogla is about to win the game. Oh, wait. We don't get the red mana, though. Very sad. Man, that actually really sucks, because now we can't Kogla. Never mind. I guess we just lose. Unless they just don't have it here. We'll pass. See if they have a Force also. For some reason, I thought we were still getting the red mana. Unfortunate. If they're still playing around Force here. What a strange match. They play another Amulet. Okay, and bounce land, and then we just lose. Sure. Cool. I thought they were going to Boseiju our Amulet. I don't know why I assumed they wouldn't hit Gruul Turf. It's literally the correct play to hit the bounce land. Oh, Dryad. Not technically dead. They have to have Titan left as their last card, otherwise we get to do something. If we top deck a Titan, we just win. Oh, it looks like their last card is a relevant card. Unfortunate. Oh, Kogla looking a little too slow here, although it was almost very good. 4 mana is just a little bit much for this matchup particularly. Yep, they have the pact, so we'll just scoop it up here since there's no way they could possibly have... I guess the 1 card in their hand could be like Haste Land or something, but we're still just dead here. There's nothing we can do, so we'll just scoop it up. Unfortunate. Show them that we had double Kogla in the lurk here. Very sad. Well, that means that we are now. Oh, what am I doing? There we go. That means that we are now 1-1. And if our opponent didn't have the Beseiju there, that Kogla would have been insane playing us crazy tastic. Opponent says, good luck, have fun. I'll say you too. So this is a turn 3 Dryad, turn 4 Titan kind of hand once again. And that assumes we draw an extra land of some sort. Kind of slow. Double Dryad means it's a little better against this card, since they could take a Titan and we just have a chance to top deck another threat. On the draw, though, I feel like we can do better. This is not that much better. In fact, it would be, I would consider keeping this if we had an untapped land, but since we don't, this Explorer is not a turn 2 card, so we got a mulligan. Okay, well, I guess we're keeping this. Bottoming probably just these. Keeping as close to Titan mana as possible. If we draw a Grazer, that we get to turn 2 Dryad or Explorer, depending on what we want to do. If we draw an untapped green source, we get to turn 2 Explorer. So this, or an Amulet as well, unlocks this hand quite a bit as well. So, like, there's a lot of good draws that make this hand reasonable. I think it's probably still better than the first hand, but not obvious if it is or not. Plays Birds of Paradise, so possibly a Yawgmoth matchup. Now we get to Vesuva there, Basic Forest. So we have turn 2 Explorer, so that's cool. Oh, ew. Oh, no. What is that? What is that? I regret everything. I'd rather not have casted the Explorer on turn 2. Goodness. That's just, that's abhorrent. Blooming Marsh. So it is Yogg. Grist. Yeah. Turn 2 Grist, pretty good. Right, well, we're just gonna explore here. We'll name Giant. Actually, maybe we should name Turtle here. Legitimately, so we could hard cast Kogla if we were to draw it. Our opponent's like, Cavern on Turtle, what the heck? Still probably leaving Vesuva as a forest in play, I think. Ooh, Grazer. Okay, well, we'll do this. Pick up the Cavern. Our opponent has the perfect Chord of Calling enabler in play. They can chord for 3 here. Oh no, what if they got Geralf's Messenger? 19. Yeah, they don't. These builds don't typically play Geralf's Messenger anymore, FYI. Yawgmoth has been off Messenger for a while. Speaking of Yawgmoth, I think we lose, so that's cool, I guess. I mean, we're not dead until we're dead, so we're gonna do this. Get some things into play that resemble progress. We'll name Turtle here again for the same reason, and tap it for a green using Dryad ability to get this Grazer down. Probably picking up Vesuva, although I assume they're gonna kill our Dryad with the Grist, so maybe not the most relevant thing, but still I think probably the right thing to do. See if we're dead here. Even a Titan here might not catch us back up. I suppose top decking a second Dryad might be enough to get us in the game. Still feel pretty severely behind here. Just having the Vesuva naturally looking pretty good here. They do minus Grist, not a big surprise here. I think, Dryad with Valcut in play and Vesuva in hand does seem slightly threatening, so not the hardest conclusion to jump to there. Well, them starting with the Grist minus is probably good for us, actually. They didn't just have an obvious, like, young wolf, blood artist line or something like that, so it's actually good for us, not bad. Dryad Arbor, okay. So the weirdest land in this deck, the 1/1 Forest Dryad, huh? Of course, a creature affected by Summoning Sickness. Do you think that it would be broken if creature lands like Dryad Arbor, which I think is the only one that exists, could tap the same turn that they came out? Would that just be broken? I don't know. We'll block their Undire here, and they can reset their Geist here. They can sack it to have Horde up, or they can do this to kill our Grazer, I guess. Sure. All right, Dryad off the top, still our best top deck. Grazer not doing a whole lot here. I feel like we are basically just losing. Still going to play Vesuva copy Valcut here in anticipation of top decking a Dryad, pretty much, and holding Grazer because playing Grazer doesn't really do anything here. So is this a Kogla matchup? Kogla killing one of their things is good. It's also a threat we can play through Necromentia, which is worth noting. Maybe it's worth it. I don't know. Is Vorinclex good here? It's like mid-rangey, but doesn't do anything against their combo. I feel like Kogla is good, but Vorinclex maybe is not. Eldritch Evolution to get another Undire, I'm assuming. Wouldn't it be funny if I was talking about how they don't play Geralf's Messenger and then our opponent just gets Geralf's Messenger here? Well, they could and they didn't. Although, this is one of those weird scenarios where we're both at an odd life total, and it would have been equal if they had the Messenger. Also, we're just dead here from their combo, going back and forth on their Strangleroot Geist and draining us out with Blood Art, so we'll concede. It was one of those strange situations where we were both at equal odd life totals. There's some heuristic for whether that wins with Messenger or not, but I honestly don't know the heuristic, so we'll bring in our interactive cards here, and yeah, I think that's it. We'll trim, yes, Caverns. Although Caverns do help us cast Kogla, which is not irrelevant, but trim Explorers, I think, because even though they do play discard spells, this is a fast enough matchup that Explorer is a little too slow. Probably trimming Map makes sense as well, since our Sagas are not likely to stay in play. I'm still keeping them because if their opponent is going to force a Vigor us, I'll just lose to it, and that's fine. But, otherwise they'd have to be playing Magus, which is not really ideal in Yogg, since I've been learning a little bit about the deck because I put it together in paper, so I'm trying to learn how to play it. And usually Yogg doesn't play Magus because it's really awkward on their own mana as well. So they would have to have exactly Haywire Might or Force to punish Saga. Otherwise, it's just a good card to have. So I think it's worth keeping Saga, but I also don't necessarily expect it to survive, which is why I'm cutting the map. Maybe it's better to keep map over and explore though, for like the Cavern. I don't know. I'll try map over explore just in case we get into a situation where we need a map for bounce land. All right, on the play. Well, I didn't keep map in the deck anticipating we'd just draw it in our opening hand. That was not really the idea. This is a turn. This is not even a turn 3 Titan because we'd only have 5 mana. No, wait, 1, 2. No, we'd have 4 mana. I think I'm mulliganing this. We can do way better. This is a hand of cards. We could lead Sunhome Amulet into Valcut, or like Amulet, Valcut, Amulet, and then turn 3 play Castle Garenbrig and have Titan mana that way, which is a very crazy line. We're gonna keep it and bottom the forest here, right? Again, we're scooping the forest here, which is just the way it works. Castle Garenbrig secretly being a turn 3 Titan enabler here. See if our opponent even sees the line. Maybe they won't know. They do thought seize us. All amulets. What would you like to take? An Amulet of Vigor or an Amulet of Vigor? Okay, well, now we don't have Titan mana anymore, but we also don't have a threat, so we're chilling. Our opponent didn't play a turn 1 mana dork, so their acceleration is low as well. Bounce land, I mean, not that one, though. Like, don't get me wrong, I'm happy to have a bounce land here, but not that one particularly. I guess we're still supposed to play Garenbrig here. So that way, if we top deck like a Selesnya Sanctuary, we can still potentially haste off of Valakut Slayers. Although we only have 1 Sanctuary in this list. I mean, still, this lets us top deck a red or white bounce land and get the other color that we're missing and be able to haste despite the fact that we have Boros Garrison in hand here. So assuming that we draw both that bounce land and a threat. Interesting. So if we hold on to the T-West, we can Grazer in T-West and then play Garrison and pick it up and have our threat transmuted for. So I think I'm just playing Valakut here. Pass back to our opponent. Now I'd rather have that forest that I bottomed. I guess we didn't have to keep the Valakut. Could have kept forest over Valakut and then we would be in a better situation here because the Valakut wasn't letting us do anything extra on turn 2 with our triple amulet draw, even if they didn't thought seize us. So probably keeping the forest over the Valakut would have been better. Explosive. Not looking like the best explosives here, not gonna lie. I guess we're supposed to play out T-West. No, we'd have to. There's like exactly 4 growth chambers and exactly 4 grazers here that we would want to be able to draw to make this decision. Playing out 2S now means we're hoping to draw a growth chamber. Not playing it out means we're hoping to draw a grazer. I guess that we could also draw a Dryad as well. I guess because we could draw a Dryad, we're supposed to probably hold these lands. Are we supposed to play explosives here? I feel like explosives on 2 is pretty free to play. I mean, it only hits Geist and Wall of Roots and like Hepatra maybe. My opponent could just have land Yogg here as well, which would be annoying. I guess we're playing EE on 2. Oh, hold on, wait. There's a better way to do this. So we can play Garrison, float the mana here, and then still be able to activate EE. So we're going to do it this way. I think EE on 2 is the best play here. Don't want to play EE on 1 as obviously we'd be blowing up our own amulets. So we'll pass back. This means our opponent cannot draw infinite cards with Yawgmoth as long as we're holding up explosives. Well, nearly infinite. I guess technically it's really 15 cards, but if they evolution one of these creatures, we're supposed to pop EE in response so that they only get 0 loops of Yawgmoth. Hey, Yavimaya fixes our mana, so now we can easily cast Titan if we top deck it, and probably even still haste, because both of these now tap for green, so we'll just take this damage, I guess. I mean, is there a reason not to pop explosives? I guess in case they have like Prosperous Innkeeper or Blood Artist or something that they're waiting to play, or like a second Strangleroot Geist. We just need to top deck a Titan at this point. That's what we're waiting on. Play Yogg, I'm assuming. That being the case, we are supposed to pop EE now. Wait, no, because we pop EE. No, we're supposed to wait, because if they sack, it's like, let's say we kill their Geist, then they can reset it with Young Wolf and keep going, so we're still supposed to hold up EE. Titan. Ugh, no Titan. All right, Saga go, I guess. And again, we're just supposed to keep this EE up on defense. We're letting them untap with Court of Calling, but if they get the Innkeeper or Blood Artist to go infinite, quote unquote, here, then we get to EE them, so not so simple. Or they can just have Young Wolf number 2 and completely invalidate the EE entirely. I guess we're still not dead to Blood Artist, which is worth something. And Cord. Okay, man. They had the Young Wolf and the Cord so that if we pop EE, they get to go off in response. Wow. Okay, well, I guess we are dead. See if they want to do this correctly here. They just have to go between the 2 Young Wolves, and then we're dead here. Well, that's a rest in peace there. I guess that means that we are now 1 and 2. Not the best look, but that's all right. Well, I don't know how to feel about Kogla and Yidaro at this point, and we haven't really gotten a chance to bring in Vorinclex. Maybe that's a signifier that Vorinclex is a little too narrow from the sideboard, kind of like Kura, which is specifically for the blue-red Murktide matchup, pretty much. I don't know. I guess maybe Vorinclex could be good against something like Scam, but it is double green in the cost, so, like, it's not particularly great against Blood Moon effects. Like, I don't know, even something like Thragtusk would probably be better against Scam, just because it's easier to have a basic forest singular than it is to have double basic. Although I guess Kogla is better against Scam. I don't know. Weird. I feel like the new cards so far just seem a little clunky. Like if we had Boseijus instead of Koglas against our Amulet opponent, then we probably would have been able to Boseiju their things and stop them from going off. And by the time we needed to get to a working, like functioning hand. Also, maybe I'm just not keeping the right kind of hands. I will admit I'm more likely to keep hands with Kogla just because I want to try to get the card in play, but maybe that's no excuse for keeping bad hands. So all right, on the play against Nawel 10. And we have a turn to explore hand with Garenbrig to speed us up. Not like the most amazing hand, but it works. So we'll keep it. Get our tap line out of the way and play explore off forced into like Castle Garenbrig, I guess. See what we top deck. We could play an Amulet if we draw it. Otherwise, this is a potential turn 4 Titan through Garenbrig. Or yeah, we could potentially go turn 3 Dryad into turn 4 Titan with Titan mana already rolled up and a Valakut already. So if we top deck a Dryad, then it's looking good there. Opponent mulligans to 6. I want to say that Nawel 10 plays Prowess, but I don't know for sure. I just feel like I know for a fact I've played against them multiple times. I just don't know what they play. Gemstone Cavern. Well, that's not the one I was expecting, but probably playing against Crashing Footfalls here, I would assume. They do exile a Wooded Foothills with the Cavern and Breeding Pool, so I feel like Footfalls is the most likely. Please do not force our Explorer on turn 2. That would be very rude, and we wouldn't like it. They don't, so that's great. We'll play Castle and pass. Looks like we're going for the turn 6 Titan here. Not turn 6. Turn 4 Titan. Lead on Explore to see if our opponent thinks that's important. Another Grazer, which I guess we'll just hold on to. Really no reason to play out a Grazer here. I guess Grazer would let us potentially be able to double block some Rhinos, but I feel like the potential for getting extra Valakut triggers down the line is going to be way better than just having Grazers to block. So, of course, our opponent on the draw having the Gemstone Caverns and the turn 2 Violent Outburst, basically. And this is turn 3, isn't it? No, it's their turn 2. Okay. Not impossible. We're supposed to just pack for Dryad here. Oh, well, drawing Titan is a good start. We'll play that one. I guess if our opponent has another Violent Outburst, we're dead. So, Mystical Dispute. Feeling pretty dead here. Main deck Dispute. I've heard that's a thing that Rhinos players have been doing recently, is just playing 3-mana Mana Leak, because it does what it's supposed to do, and the matchups that it needs to work. And I guess we just have to go for Dryad here, and then double Grazer, that lets us kill both their Rhinos, potentially. Kogla, huh? Yeah, unfortunately, it's not going to work. So we'll go for Dryad. Play Bounce Land. I mean, this is just assuming our opponent has absolutely, literally nothing that matters, like 4 lands. But Bounce Land on the stack first, so that we get our Valakut trigger before we have to bounce a land. Very important, because we have to have the requisite number of mountains in play. But it's not killing our Dryad or anything. So it's possible they just have Violent Outburst here, and we're still going to be dead anyways. I mean, we get to play double Grazer here, though. So assuming all this worked, maybe not punished for holding the Grazers, ? And we get to Titan this upcoming turn, so we will clear the board of all the Rhinoceri. That's the plural of Rhinoceros, in case you were wondering. And I'm sure it's probably the incorrect plural, but, you know, they do have Outbursts. Okay. I mean, we're still not dead here. We get to see their whole deck as well, so that's pretty cool, I guess. Forces, Murktide Regent, Brazen Borrowers, Force Negations. I'm not seeing any main board Blood Moons. Fury, Fire and Ice. Oh, okay, no, we are dead. Well, we're not technically dead, actually, because they killed the Dryad here. I mean, we're effectively dead, but we pacted for Dryad, didn't we? Yeah, we're just dead. That's a rest in peace. We fought our hardest, but sometimes just trying is not good enough. It happens. Right? We have explosives for this matchup, which is exciting. We have Kogla and Yidaro to fight our Rhino and outclass another, and also be an answer to Blood Moon. So I feel like we just want to max on Kogla in this matchup. It's pretty decent. Oseiju's good. Cavern does nothing. Sagas are bad against Blood Moon and Force, so I feel like we have to sideboard them out, because our opponent guaranteedly plays Blood Moon, even though it's not in the main deck there. It's very sad that we have to play around it, but we do. And I think because we have Koglas, we are not going to want something like Force. They also are not playing white that I saw. I don't think they have like Leyline Bindings or anything like that. Actually, Vorinclex is kind of interesting too, just stonewalling their Rhinos and getting us basic forests and transforming to just win. I feel like it's not the worst. I'll give Vorinclex a shot. I don't know that it's actually particularly good here, but Kogla definitely is very good here, so Explorer is likely to just get forced anyways. So having threats we can put in play to block Rhinos or attack through them, not bad. Plus Engineered Explosives to interact. Maybe this will be a match where Kogla actually matters. Value. It's also possible that playing this many copies of Kogla, we should be playing a fetch land or a 5th basic forest to try to make sure we have it more often. So we could be trimming a Summoners Pact for an Explorer, which I don't hate, because the pact is awkward with them having Blood Moons and Forces. I suppose that makes it less likely for us to be able to pack for Kogla, but honestly, that's not going to happen that often. So since we have 3 of them, it might still happen. You never know. But right, we'll be on the play. We have Explosives and Kogla and Titan mana, but no ramp. I mean, they're probably just going to counter or destroy our explosives if we play it out, like with a force or something. Again, this is an example of a hand that I'm tempted to keep because it has Kogla, but in this case, it's actually because it's relevant. They might keep a hand reliant on Blood Moon or Force, and this hand doesn't play into any of those things. Although I guess it's still not great against Blood Moon, since we get a lot of ramp if they Blood Moon us, actually. We have explosives to interact. Very awkward. Man, this hand's really close. Let me know at home in the comments what you would do here. I don't know if I'm supposed to keep this or not. I mean, we can play turn 3 Dryad if we draw it. We have explosives. If our explosives gets forced, then we're just toast. I feel like we have to mulligan. I feel like the non-greedy thing to do is to mulligan. All right, and this hand has double basic to play around Blood Moon. It has double Amulet, Explorer to help us draw a bounce land, and it has Kogla as a threat or answer. And we're definitely keeping this. The bottom could just be second Amulet, to be honest. Or it could be Kogla as well, since we have Boseiju to answer Blood Moon. Kogla doubling as a threat here is pretty good, though. I think I'm bottoming Boseiju here. Hopefully we'll top deck some lands. We get to play turn 1 Amulet, turn 2 Vesuva Basic Forest, and that sets us up pretty well here. So if we draw a Gruul Turf, we have a turn 2 Kogla here if we want it. Opponent was going to do something and then didn't. All right, we're gonna play Explorer and then play Vesuva Copy Forest. And we found our bounce lane, which is fantastic news. Sadly, we don't currently have Kogla mana, but we're just on full cylinders here. Just need to top deck a threat at this point, assuming our opponent doesn't have Force, which doesn't seem that they do. We'll play Simic here and pick up our copy of Forest so that we can copy a red land if our opponent plays it and be able to do things with Kogla, perhaps. Like if they have Shardless Agent, we can Kogla and fight one of their rhinos and then have Kogla to outclass the other, and they do have a red source for us to copy, so that's cool. We'll see if Kogla goes the distance here. It definitely outclasses Shardless Agent by a lot, assuming that it resolves. Our opponent could subtlety us, which would be very sad, or we could top deck Titan and just have to go for that instead. Yeah, well, interesting. So we can Vesuva Petria and then put Summoner's Pact on the stack, and that plays around Force. That way we could just slam Kogla, but then we're still losing to Blood Moon. We could Vesuva Simic, and if our opponent forces our pack, then we're doing nothing this turn. I feel like the safest play is to just slam Kogla, to be honest. At 5, so we're not yielding automatically to our amulets, just in case I did something stupid. I think we're just hard casting Kogla here. We're finally doing it. Cast. All right. We'll have it fight a rhino. Kogla doing things here. It actually resolved. Answering our opponent's rhinos. If they bounce it, then we get another trigger. And then next turn, we just get to Titan them, and play around Blood Moon. So feeling pretty good about our spot. If they had an answer, they probably would have done something about the Kogla, right? Dryad. I mean, I'm going to cast Summoner's Pact here. Could get another Kogla. We could also get Vorinclex here, but I think that Primeval Titan is the pretty obvious choice. Titan? Kogla just stonewalling this Rhinoceros here. Mystical Dispute. All right. That's okay. We have many more threats where that came from. Do we just attack? They chump. Attacking is bad if they have another Shardless. Is it worth attacking here? I mean, at this point, they could just bounce Kogla and we can't recast it. So I'm going to swing. I'm going to get aggressive here. If they just take the 7, they do. So now they're within Valcut range. See if they have Violent Outburst here. No? Okay. Well, let's not lose to Summoner's Pact. Seems like a good idea. I guess the proper way to do this is like this. EE. Now that is a nice one. All right, let's play that one on 0 just to see if it resolves first. Then that'll inform whether we attack with Kogla or not. If they have to counter this, then I guess we're pretty happy with that. They let it go. All right, Kogla going in the red zone once again. They're going to Borrower to bounce EE, bouncing the Kogla. So it's a good thing we got our 7 damage in. That's fine. Now we just pass. They cast their Borrower. Let's EE on 0, not looking so fantastic when our opponent has these non-Rhino threats. I think we probably have to pop EE here anyways, just to not take the extra 4. Although Kogla can fight down one of these non-Rhino tokens, non-Rhino creatures, I mean. We do definitely just have to pop EE here, though, and just hope they don't have more Rhinos, and that we top deck something that lets us cast something. Well, we're casting Dryad here, and I guess just passing? Maybe we're supposed to play out Boseiju, I don't know. Now, we can hold Boseiju in case we top deck Valakut, I suppose. We'll be able to cast Kogla this upcoming turn, regardless of whether they have Blood Moon or not, so that's not really a factor. Now, first. Yeah, we had to hope they didn't have a way to bounce our Kogla, but it was actually looking really good there. Maybe attacking was a little aggressive, but yep, and now we're just dead, so cool. Well, that means that we are now 1-3. Not the most fantastic league on the planet, but we are learning some things, and we'll jump in here for the 5th and final match, since I might as well just go ahead and get it going on the draw. We have a pretty decent hand here. We get to turn 1 Amulet and make a bunch of mana progress thanks to the fact that we can copy our Growth Chamber with Vesuva, so hand's looking fantastic. Bloodstain Mire. If they thought seize us, that'll be a little sad. Or like scam us. Ragavan wouldn't be great, but Yep, they do have the turn 1 rag. All right, well, I guess we're just playing Cavern and Amulet here. Named Giant. Play Amulet, pass it to them. Next turn, we can Rule Turf, play Explorer, Vesuva, Stomping Ground, play second Explorer. We're going to be doing some mana things. Setting up for turn 3 Titan here. We got it going. Swings with the Ragavan. Opponent didn't reveal Gigantha, which is interesting. They hit the third Explorer off the top. Okay, it looks like they're game to cast it as well, potentially. Season Pyroman. Well, that's one of the reasons they're not playing Gigantha, I guess. Is our opponent on Ponza? Card Seal of Fire and Lightning Bolt. Interesting. Play out Gruul Turf here. Pick up Cavern. Play Explorer. Grazer does block. That is a fact. So now we can Cavern on Beast, play Grazer, play Simic Growth Chamber, and still Explore. I guess that's what we should do. Maybe exploring first is better in case we top deck an Amulet. We might have had a line of Titan in a case like that. Play Growth Chamber here. Not super worried about Blood Moon at the moment, but maybe I should be. I think it would be unusual for Ponza to play Seal of Fire, that's all. Plus, there's no way for us to play around it anyways, so I guess we just play Valcut here, and we have Titan next turn, so we're chilling. And we have Grazer to block this stupid Ragavan. Get out of here, Ragavan. If our opponent just fetches for basic force and slams Blood Moon, it'll be a pretty tragic occurrence. Lightning Bolt Grazer. Well, I guess I insulted Ragavan a little too soon, huh? Basically, Death Touch for players, you know? That's the way Aspiring Spike likes to joke about it. That's the fourth Explorer. Because the fourth one's over here in exile. They neglected to cast it the other turn. Very rude, if you ask me. We can go Gruul Turf Dryad into Gruul Turf Titan, which seems pretty good. That is the plan, unless they have Boseiju here, question mark. In which case, I guess we're just slamming Titan. Don't know why our opponent has paused here. Or they have nothing too. That's, I mean, I'm not complaining about that if that's what's going on. I'll gladly accept that. Like Gruul Turf here. Get Titan into play. Get the old Haste-Aruni. That's the official terminology for it, in case you were wondering. The Haste-Aruni. I am attacking into a potential Terminate, because we haven't seen any black mana from them yet. Oh, they are playing Bloodstained Mire, but I don't know. I get the feeling that they're on straight red-green. That's just my read on it. Could be wrong, but we also have Valcut backup already in case our Titan dies, so I'm not super worried about setting up Tolaria West here. Maybe I should be, but this also lets us get Valcut triggers this turn if our attack goes through, so seems like our opponent's F6 as well. So if we didn't have Vesuva in hand, they'd probably just be dead. Actually, they might still be dead because they're taking 8 from Titan. So second Valcut plus any other land is 12 plus 8. Yeah, they're dead. So we'll get Valcut T West, I suppose, and we'll save targets upstairs. See if they have an answer to this Dryad. Well, our opponent has lost the game. There we go. Okay. Well, they didn't have Terminate there. A Seal of Fire. It's throwing me off. Also, like, I guess they could be playing Obosh, but they're not. So I don't really know exactly what's going on. We just see mono red cards, including Seal of Fire. Interesting. Okay, well, against mono red, Kogla as a way to answer moons and as a threat is not bad. Seiju for the same reason. Endurance, probably good against them, considering they have Season Pyros and possibly like Dragon's Rage Channelers. It's also just a way to block a Ragavan, which is relevant. Not really super interested in Force. Thornclex is again interesting. It's actually probably reasonable here. I'm gonna give it a shot. Floor is probably looking pretty slow. Also, we don't want our opponent to cast this one with Ragavan for whatever that's worth. Explosives is interesting, but probably not worth it. From a Cavern, Trim Sagas, in case they're playing Blood Moons, which they probably are. Actually, yeah, I'm just going to cut Saga entirely because of the possibility of Blood Moon. Have the map for the same reason. So I guess we're keeping a couple Explorers. I'm cool with this. Maybe we could have the third Kogla. I don't know. I feel like 3 is probably too much for the effect. I feel like we can pretty safely mulligan this. We have no ramp. I mean, we do have a basic to play around Blood Moon, but no way to stop a turn 1 monkey. We could top deck Grazer or Dryad, but then we still have to top deck a threat. I feel like we can just do better on 6. This is a weird hand. Turn 3 Arboreal Grazer is not really my jam, as much as I like the card. I think we're going to 5. This hand's better. Hand's definitely better. Well, we're keeping this. Probably can bottom Redundant Titan for sure. And Grazer is probably important against the Ragavan start. Our opponent kept 7, by the way. We can bottom Kogla because we have multiple ways to top deck answers to like moons and stuff. And it's also currently uncastable with our hand. So I feel like second Grazer is going to be more impactful than Kogla. I could be wrong. No covered mountain. Ragavan. Okay, well, we have the Grazer for that. Land is a welcome top deck. We're going to keep the Simic in hand in case we top deck Amulet. If we win the game, our opponent conceded to Turtle and Grazer. What the heck? All right, well, that means that we ended up 2 and 3, and I do have some closing thoughts about the list. So we played in a couple matchups where Kogla was relevant, but a little slow. Kogla is not great, obviously, in the Amulet matchup, as 4 mana is just a lot for this effect. Like, the matchups where Kogla is good are the slower, like, Blood Moon matchups where additional threats are welcome. I also feel like Kogla actually seems pretty good against matchups like Rhinos. It's still a little slow there too, but it has relevant ability. It's okay against Necromentia, but not great. So it's not like the best extra threat. I feel like if you're playing Kogla, you definitely don't want to be playing this many. I feel like 3 is too many, and maybe having one main, one side makes sense. Maybe just two side, but I don't know. Kogla is a relevant threat. We saw it being relatively impactful. Vorinclex we never actually got to play, but I think in theory this card's like okay. It's not fantastic. It's possible that a card like Pura, which I have pulled up here, Pura the Boundless Sky, is a 5-mana 4/4 flying death touch that has a die's ability to either make a creature or get 3 lands from your deck and put them in your hand. So of course the appeal of this one being that your opponent will have to deal with this card if they're trying to get through on the ground, which will guarantee you get to search for 3 lands, and they can be any 3 lands. So, like, against Murktide, you can get Cavern of Souls, Bojuka Bog, and Forest, or Cavern of Souls, Boseiju, Bojuka Bog. Usually those are, like, the main pickups. And then, of course, the fact that it's a 4/4 flying death touch means that it does actually trade with a Murktide. That said, it does die to, like, Unholy Heat type effects, in which case you get to search, but you don't get to deal with the board. On the other hand, Vorinclex always gets the value. It gets you your 2 basic forests, but other than that, it's just a 6/6 trample reach, which for 5 mana admittedly is pretty good, but it is still slow, as we kind of saw in this league. Like, we had a little bit of clunkiness going on. I don't know for sure that Vorinclex is better than Kura, but it could be, and Kura is a card that's seen play in the Amulet sideboard in the past. Obviously, the upside of being able to just win the game off Vorinclex if you get to untap with it is pretty interesting, and that's not an angle that Kura really has. And it still blocks DRCs and other flying threats as well, which is one of the main indications of playing something with reach or flying. And the fact that Vorinclex attacks with trample is important too. So I feel like this card is reasonable. I don't know that it's worth cutting normal Amulet sideboard cards for, but I mean, I'd like to test it more. It's definitely a nice mid-range threat to have access to. It's not super great against Blood Moon, I will admit, because of the double green and the cost, but neither is something like Kura, so, you know, your mileage may vary. Maybe neither of these cards is that great against the Murktide matchup. Maybe Kogla is just a better way to go, to just play a couple Koglas in the deck. But I don't know, it's interesting. I do like Kogla. I'm a little sad at how slow it seems to be, but maybe that's just because we're playing too many copies and seeing it too often. So maybe just having one to pack for and then it shuffles itself back in for reuse is interesting. Having a couple to draw into. I feel like 3 is just too many. Vorinclex, the jury's still out on, I would say. So, but yeah, I think that to round out the sideboard, I would maybe add a Dismember and just call it a day there, or maybe a second Boseiju as well makes sense. Although Boseiju is less important when we have Kogla in theory, but obviously Boseiju is better against the faster matchup. So I feel like maybe Boseiju and Kogla, though they seem to compete for slots, they don't really, because Kogla is more of a threat with a added utility, whereas Boseiju is more of a land with like early utility. So interesting that you have to balance it. So definitely something worth considering. Maybe even a heavier red splash, allowing for something like Fire Spout in the sideboard is interesting. But yeah, I don't have a whole lot else to say. Let me know what you think about these cards in the comments below. And thank you again for joining me. Maybe next time I'm live, which I was not this time, but next time I might be live, and you can see down below right there in that corner there, the twitch.tv/redfacemenace. That's where I stream. So if you want to go follow me there as well, you can get notified if I do go live. I don't have a regular schedule. And like I said, thank you guys for joining me on this league. Let me know what you think about the cards, and I'll see you guys in the next one. This is Red Face Menace, signing off.